guys, welcome to the channel. This is Surabhi here and hope you're listening to earlier sessions as well. And I have completed till now goal setting, concentration, study skills, part 1, part 2, part 3, time management for students, tips, motivation, procrastination, all these types of topics. So today's session will be about decision making. So what decision, how to make your decisions basically. So it will be a kind of reading session. There are basically 7 steps to effective decision making. Let's read out. Step 1. Identify the decision. You realize that you need to make a decision. Try to clearly deem the nature of the decision you must make. The first step is very important. Identify the decision. Second is gather the relevant information. Collect some pertinent information before you make your decision. What information is needed, best sources of the information, and how to get it. This step involves both internal and external work. Some information is internal. You'll seek it through a process of self-assessment. Other information is external. You'll find it online in books from other people and from other sources. Step 3. Identify the alternators. As you collect information, you will probably identify several possible paths of actions or alternatives. You can also use your imagination and additional information to construct new alternatives. In this step, you will list all possible and desired alternatives. Step 4. Weigh the evidence. Draw on your information and emotions to imagine what it would be like if you carried out each of the alternatives to the end. Evaluate whether the need identified in step 1, that is identify the decision, would be met or resolved through the use of each alternative. As you go through this difficult internal process, you will begin to favor certain alternatives, those that seem to have higher potential for reaching your goal. Finally, place the alternatives in a priority order based upon your own value system. Step 5. Choose among the alternatives. Once you have weighed all the evidence, you are ready to select the alternative that seems to be the best one for you. You may even choose a combination of alternatives. Your choice in step 5 may very likely to be the same or similar to the alternative you placed at the top of your list at the end of step 4. Step 6. Take action. You are now ready to take some positive action by the beginning to implement the alternative chosen in step 5. Now step 7. Review your decision and its consequences. In this final step, consider the results of your decision and evaluate whether or not it has resolved the need you identified in step 1. The decision has not met the identified need. If the decision has not met, you may want to repeat the certain steps of process to make new decisions. For example, you might want to gather more details to somewhat different information or explore additional alternatives. So these are basically the steps of decision making. Identify the decision, identify and understand the nature of decision that you should take firstly. Identify what factors are considered in making the decision. Identify the current situation and the desired situation, what you want to reach and what are you at currently. A useful way to identify decision is thinking about following questions. Do you think there is an issue as a need for decision? What is the current situation? When and why the issue appeared? And who is involved in the issue? Basically, these questions you can consider in the first step, that is identify the decision. Then step 2, gather relevant information. Strengthen the situation identification and awareness by how serious the situation is. Knowing the size of the gap between your vision and the current situation. Boost your self-confidence because by gathered information, you know the current situation and you should know what to do. Step 3, identify and evaluate alternatives as we discussed. The options, identify the options, alternative options. Write down the possible negative and positive outcomes for each alternative option to make your effective decision. So the questions that you will consider while making the decision would be, what are the possible decisions? What are the negatives and positives of the decisions? Drawbacks, positive points and negative points. What if the decision is delayed? What if the situation remains as it is? So these questions you have to consider. Choose among the alternatives and take your decision. Then execute your decision. When you choose from a combination of alternatives based on the evaluation done, you can ultimately execute your decision, wherein you have to set a plan for implementing your decision. The plan should be clear with specific steps and limited time to be effective. Then execute your decision according to your plan. Check continually the implementation to meet your goals, and if there is any unwanted deviation, quickly adjust the plan to meet your goals. So alteration, alter to rational comebacks, alter to most strategic tactics that you can use, which are more useful or more preferable, suitable in order to implement that plan. Step 6, evaluate the outcomes of your decision and action steps. Evaluating the decision is very important. So good manager should follow his decision and know that the decision doesn't end at taking, but should be implemented and developed. So a good manager always evaluates his or her decision during and after implementation, and if there is any mistake, he or she to correct it, maybe by modifying or changing the direction. So by switching to appropriate alternative tactics, strategies. Also, to develop your decision making skills, you should write down the learned lessons from implementing any decision. So whenever you're making any decision, if it's a wrong choice or a right choice, you have to first weigh the positives and the negatives and follow these points which I read just now. So if you have any doubts, you can comment in the comment section regarding this decision making, and I will answer to your questions. Thank you so much.